I'm excited to quilt my Tilda quilt that came in my Primitive Gatherings subscription box in October 2024. I pieced it up with this beautiful Tilda fabric, and I was trying to figure out how to quilt it. So these blocks, the pieced blocks, are in subsets of 4.5 inches. So this is 4.5 square, 4.5 inches square, 4.5 inch square, and the sashing is 4 inches. So I pulled out one of my ABC stencils. It's a lineable block collection. These are made for borders and line quilting, and each design has a center line that I could stitch a swirl and then this fan or any of the other stencils. They all mix and match together. But I decided to quilt the swirl on this. I really like the simplicity of it. I took my pounce pad and I swiped it along a center line. I drew a line down the center of my 4.5 inch block. I also drew a line down the center of the sashing, so that's how I've done the whole quilt. And the border is 5 inches finished, but I put it a 1/4 inch up, so there's 3/4 inches at the binding. And then I stenciled another one in the center here. The way I do it is I fold the stencil in half and place it on the line here, like so. And I can see that I'm a 1/4 inch above and below the design. Flip it over, pounce pad, agitate it, and swipe it on. So I drew the line down, I pounced this row, this column of designs, and I'm going to go quilt it. Now these designs don't match up, so I'm going to have to wing it a little bit. So I'm going to stitch around and come back, and then I'm going to make myself angle from the end of this one to the beginning of this one with about a 1/2 inch on either side. And you'll see that as I can put in some close-ups. I have my Batt Scooters to help me move my fabric. I'm going to angle myself down to where this starts. So I'm going to put a little curl there. And now I'm going to trace this spiral all the way to the center and stop. When I'm stitching along a line, I'm kind of looking at where I'm going, not where I'm at. Now I can take my foot off the presser foot. I'm sorry, the foot pedal. And rest. Okay, I'm ready to stitch back. I'm going to trace along this line. I'm not worried about perfection. I'm going to trace along this line all the way back to just before the midpoint at the bottom. And I am going to angle between here and here and make my spirals fit together that way. Now, when I need to stop to reposition my hands, I prefer to stop in one of 3 places. One, where the design ends and makes a point, because if I get a little bubble and stitch there, you're not going to see it because I'm already stitching over it. The second place I prefer to stitch is somewhere that I'm tracing over the line, and on this spiral, it's on this left side, I'm tracing over it, but I needed to reposition my hands. So what I did was stopped at a seam, because that seam will suck in an extra stitch, and visually you won't see it if there's a little bump. Now, to avoid getting a bump when I restart, I'm going to make sure I'm not pulling the fabric to one side or another. I'm going to hold the fabric steady, put my foot pedal all the way down, and once the needle starts moving, then I'll move my hands. Okay, now it's a safe place to stop. I'm going to stitch all the way back down till I'm about a ½ inch before the bottom center and angle my way into the next one. Reposition the quilt, reposition my hands. Now I'm in the sashing. There's no real good place to stop, so I do have to stop in the curve. I'll just have to restart very carefully, put my foot pedal all the way to the ground, wait for the needle to start, and then move my quilt. And I'm going to continue that all the way down this column and the rest of the columns till the end of the quilt. I counted, because I'm kind of like that, there are 17 different rows of spirals I have to quilt, so it's not that many. I can do one entire column, make a break the thread, go do something else, and then come back and do another one. This quilt will be quilted up in a day or two, a few short hours, and then it's ready to bind, throw in the wash to get all the chalk off, and it'll make a great gift for someone.